I què passa? Ja estem així, ja hem arribat a València. Com esteu? Bueno, así es como hablaría un valenciano de Valencia, como es mi caso, pero no estamos en Valencia de España, estamos en Valencia de Francia, una de las tantas Valencias que hay también en Francia. Este sitio en concreto se llama Valence d'Agen. Y aquí detrás de mí tenemos a la iglesia de esta localidad, donde se pueden leer los tres lemas más famosos de Francia, que son Liberté, Égalité et Fraternité, que son libertad, igualdad y fraternidad. Bueno, os preguntaréis, ¿por qué está aquí Javi en esta localidad? Bueno, pues aquí en Valencia, en Valence d'Agen, voy a entrevistar a una persona que toca el bombardino, Bouphonium, para los que estáis en Latinoamérica, para que no os confundáis, y voy a hacer una entrevista a esta persona para que la conozcáis, ya que en muy poco tiempo ha conseguido tener cierta fama y cierto movimiento musical dentro de lo que es el mundo de las brass band, también de los instrumentos de viento metal, y como no, en esta entrega con la música a otra parte quiero daros a conocer personas que creo que merecen ser entrevistadas y saber de su trayectoria y el por qué escogieron ese instrumento. Así que acompañadme y os muestro cómo es esta persona y todos sus secretos. Venid conmigo. Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estáis? Bienvenidos al canal de la Escuela Trombón 2.0, soy Javi Colomer. Hoy voy a entrevistar a una persona aquí en Francia, estamos en Valence d'Agen, y esta persona es Aurélie Cassin. Aurélie, ¿cómo estás? How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm very fine. En esta entrevista vamos a hablar o bien en inglés, o bien en español, o bien en francés, ya que Aurélie es francesa. Y antes de empezar la entrevista estábamos comentando un poco lo que íbamos a hablar, así que los tres idiomas se pueden ver reflejados aquí. De todas formas, aquí abajo voy a poner los subtítulos para que no tengáis ningún problema. Bueno, Aurélie Cassin es una persona que se ha hecho ver un poco en las redes sociales desde el tema de la pandemia, y contacté con ella cuando unas alumnas mías que tocan el euphonium estaban un poco desmotivadas por el tema de la pandemia, porque no era lo mismo tocar en casa que con todas las clases online, y eso las desmotivó un poco, pero me encontré con ella y le pedí que hiciera un pequeño vídeo para motivar a estas personas. Ese vídeo influyó bastante y a día de hoy, pues bueno, estamos aquí en Francia entrevistando a Aurélie Cassin. Así que vamos a entrevistarla y vas a conocer un poco de la vida de Aurélie. Bueno, Aurélie, ¿dónde naciste? Where are you born?
I was born in Auch, a town in the jazz department. It's in France, in southwest France.
Bueno, ¿cuándo empezaste a estudiar música? When did you begin to study music?
I began to study music when I was 6 in a little music school next home. At this school we had to do 1 year of music theory before to play an instrument. So that's what I did, and I wanted to play the trumpet. So 1 year later I started to take the instrument lessons, and as I was very tiny, the teacher there advised me to pick the cornet instead of the trumpet, and that's what I did, and I stayed on the cornet during 10 years.
Really interesting change, really interesting combination. First cornet and later euphonium.
Yes.
Aurélie, ¿dónde te formaste musicalmente? Where did you get your musical training?
So I started at this music school with the cornet, and then I continued there with the euphonium. And some years later, I studied with Max Fuga, who is a teacher at the Toulouse Conservatoire. And very more recently, I took online lessons with Stephen Mead. Yeah.
Stephen Mead, the really top player in the euphonium in
yes.
the world.
Yes.
It's a good reference for everybody.
Yes, a big one.
Aurelie, poco a poco las mujeres están más presentes en la familia del brass instrument y eso es bueno, pero ¿por qué elegiste el euphonium, el bombardino? Little by little, women are more present in the brass instruments family, and that is very good, but why did you choose the euphonium?
I chose the euphonium because I wanted to go for a lower brass when I was 16 after 10 years of cornet, and I liked the sound of the euphonium, this warm and round sound. Yeah, that's why I choose the euphonium.
And no the trombone, no the tuba?
I like the trombone too. The tuba was maybe too low, but yeah, it's
too big.
Yeah, it's the sound of the euphonium.
Aurelie, ¿cuál es ahora tu actividad profesional como músico? With this, now your professional activity as a musician?
Actually, that's not very long ago that I came into it. I mean, in a more professional way. And I have two activities actually, as I'm also a photographer. But as a musician, I started to do some solo performances last year. I teach in a wind band course. I will have some more new solo performances to do very soon. And I play now in my ensemble, Trifolium Brass. It's a low brass trio that I created at the end of last year. So it's taking shape little by little.
Really interesting, your life. ¿Qué rutinas practicas con tu instrumento para mantenerte en forma? What routines do you practice with your instrument to stay in shape?
I always start with breathing exercises. The best is when I can do yoga first or some gym workout, because I found it makes me very relaxed in the whole body but also in the mind. But it's not always possible, so most of the time I start with the breathing exercises. And then I work on the mouthpiece and then on the instrument. And I do long tones, flexibilities, arpeggios, flow exercises. And I like to cover all the range in the warm-up, starting low or middle range and going to the high range. And then I work on specific fundamentals like fingering, chromatics, tonguing, low tones, everything we need to work on. And the rest of the day is for etudes and repertoire. And I always warm down at the end of the day to stay in shape for the day after. But about practicing, I think something important to me is to be very focused, to pay attention to the sound, to the relaxation, make it the more easy possible. I think, we are like researchers, we have to constantly work on how we play, how we feel when we play. I think it's important because if you just play like a robot, it doesn't serve your playing.
Yeah, you have right. Yeah. Ok, Aurelie, ¿con qué equipo profesional tocas? ¿Qué boquilla, qué instrumento? With what professional equipment do you play? What mouthpiece, what instrument?
I play the Yamaha Custom Euphonium and the Dennis Wick SM4XR mouthpiece. and sometimes when it's needed, I play the Dennis Wake Metal Mute.
Acerca de Dennis Wick, nosotros ahora hablaremos un poco porque tenemos algo en común. About Dennis Wick, we have something in common because we are artists of this brand, and then we will talk about. Recientemente tú has creado un grupo de cámara, ¿no? Con tus colegas. ¿Cómo surgió esta idea? You have created a former chamber ensemble with other colleagues. How did you come with this idea?
I always had this dream to play in an ensemble, a small brass ensemble, but you know it's not always easy as you have to find people not far from you, available, etc. And last year I met Mizuo, the other Euphonium player of the ensemble, in a low brass event near Bordeaux. And she was there to teach, to work on the event. And some months ago, I thought, why not to contact her to speak to her about this project of ensemble? And she was happy, and she agreed to take part to the project. And she told me about a good friend of her, a tuba player, called Sumire Tsuruoka. So she agreed to take part in the project, and then I thought, why not to keep it like this, you know, not looking for more musicians to make a quintet or a quartet, but just keep it as a low brass trio. I thought it may be not easy to find repertoire, and it's not, but I like the idea so much of this low brass ensemble trio, and yeah, that's how Trifolium Brass is born.
Really nice, really interesting trio because it's not common. Two phoniums and one tuba is not common, but difficult for repertoire. I
yes,
agree.
it is.
Recently, you tried to be part of the Dennis Wick brand artist. What means this in your life?
Yes, I met Stefan Wick at the NAMM show in Los Angeles last year. I think it was just after the last lockdown. And I saw the Dennis Wick booth, and I never met them before, but the brand shared my videos online, you know, on the Dennis Wick Facebook page. So I came on the booth and just to say hi, and I met Stefan Wick, and he invited me to be a Dennis Wick artist. So that's how I became an artist for them. I don't think it changed something because I already play on my Dennis Wick mouthpiece, but I was very happy to be taken seriously by a great brand like them. You know, I think that's part of things that encourage me on my path to work and to continue what I do, and things that make me think I'm on the right track.
Okay, Aurélie. So very interesting talk with you about all these things. We arrived to the end of the interview. Thank you for your time.
Thanks to you for having me.
And the last thing is, you have any advice or anything to add to this interview for the new generations, for the girls for play brass instruments, or anybody? What do you have to say?
Euphonium means beautiful sound, so pick the euphonium and make something beautiful. You know, it's very pleasant to play, to hear the sound, and yeah, it's a lot of work, of course, but like on every instrument. So, but it worth it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, Aurélie, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Hasta aquí la entrevista con Aurélie Cassin. En el próximo vídeo os mostraremos un dúo que hemos hecho Aurélie y yo, y también con el ensemble Trifolium, que he estado integrado con ellas tres para tocar una pieza, así que espero que os guste. See you soon and au revoir.
Bye.